Mr. Rahul Mali, he is a research scholar in the Department of Mechanical Engineering working in our research group. He has submitted his thesis recently. So he worked extensively on aluminum 7075 machining. So uh, uh, he will be talking about whatever work he has done as a part of his thesis for 7075 machining of freeform surfaces. And Rahul Mali, his research interests are mostly in machining. Initially, he worked on Inconel 718 at his master's level. So now he has, but most of the materials he is working right now are all on aerospace materials only. So with this short introduction, I request Rahul to share his thoughts about the freeform machining of AM-based components. And Rahul, you have 1 hour 15 minutes to talk and discuss, and 15 minutes we will use for question answer session from the participants. And participants, I request please be free to ask questions, and you can get a lot of insight from his work, what he has accomplished in it via IT actually. Okay, thank you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So I thank you, Dr. Gupta sir, for introducing me and giving me an opportunity to present my work in front of like research community. So I'll share my screen, and before I start my presentation. So am I audible? Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are
you're
audible.
audible.
Okay, and I have shared my screen. So is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, so my today's session will be on freeform surface milling. So before I start with my talk, actually, I will just brief you regarding this topic, or the main title which I have proposed to my talk, that freeform surface milling. Like, what are the freeform surfaces? So freeform surfaces are these are also called as sculpture surfaces, and these are the complex surfaces having varying dimensions or the varying shapes in all three principal axes. So if you consider a surface which has varying dimension along x, y, and z, so that we can consider as a freeform surface. So these surfaces do not have any translational symmetry and axis of rotation. So these are the complex or sculptured surfaces. So why do we require these surfaces? These surfaces are extensively used, or these are extensively employed in various automotive components, aerospace components, or even we can find them in die mold applications, household appliances. So these surfaces, they typically enhance the operating capacity or functionality, as we could find in die and mold, or in automotive parts, or they are simply enhance the aesthetics of the component. So as in case of household applications, so that's why machining or milling of these surfaces is of practical importance, and one should go, or one should explore the possibilities in uh, machining or milling of freeform surfaces. So my today's talk will be on milling of freeform surfaces. So before I start, like, small disclaimer, like here we have some primitive experiments we have performed regarding freeform surface milling of additively manufactured components. However, we have not come up with some concrete results, or we have not come up with some concluding remarks regarding that. So yet we are exploring the possibilities in milling or machining of AM components. So right now I will keep my talk very generalized, and I will cover freeform surface milling, how it is different from flattened milling, and what are the mechanism or the mechanics involved in freeform surface milling. So instead AM components, I will cover generalized freeform surface milling on forged plates, forged aluminum plates. Okay, so before I start, I will like give the overview of this particular domain. So in freeform surface machining, like we have just recent literature we have reviewed. So hardly we could find some 200 to 250 papers if we consider a span of 1 decade, and out of which we have considered like mainly 170 papers we have considered, and based on that 170 paper we have proposed one review. And based on all that extensive literature which we have reviewed, uh, like i could uh, I could give you like mainly the freeform surface milling can be considered or can be studied in 5 different domains, like experimental investigation, analytical studies, toolpath generation, surface digitization, and surface inspection. Means so out of this 170 papers we have uh, classified entire literature into 5 main domains. So whoever like wants to start any study based on this domain or on this topic, so they can consider any one aspect or any one domain to work or to start with. So either he can start with experimental investigation or analytical or toolpath. So each of the domain you can start a separate work in this. So the entire like overview of whatever possibilities are there to work in regarding this freeform surface machining, that we have covered in this review. So this review that is already got published, and this review or this paper is already available online, so you can refer that and you can get a fair idea to start with a particular aspect, and you can start your work in this. So I will just brief each of the domain. So experimental investigations, so these are generally carried out to understand the parametric influence or to know the input output correlations or parametric interactions, like how input parameters are correlate to output parameters, or what is the correlation between input and output. So that is that we actually cover in experimental investigations. And analytical studies, so analytical studies, these are like physics based models or algorithms are developed, or in some cases like based on empirical data, the algorithms the models are developed to predict the responses, main or major machining responses. So these responses might be the cutting forces or surface roughness or tool wear. So several responses can be predicted, and based on each of the response, like authors have developed several analytical models. So based on process physics, or some of the researchers or scholars, they have developed the analytical models based on the empirical data. So that is what actually included in analytical studies. Then tool path generation and surface digitization, both these things that concern with the accurately representing the tool path or tool machining strategy, and accurately representing the surface which we want to machine. So this is basically to optimize the tool paths which are used to generate or induce the surfaces, or to accurately represent the surfaces which we want to machine, or which we want to get after machining. And last one, that is surface inspection. In surface inspection, now as I already told, the freeform surfaces, these are complex surfaces, so they have varying dimensions in all 3 axes. That's why inspection of these surfaces are quite challenging, and to fulfill their functionality, these surfaces should conform to uh, some standards. So these standards or the quality aspects of these surfaces are typically assessed or measured in surface inspection. So here out of these 5 domains, in like in my PhD work, we have explored experimental investigation. Then to some extent, I have also considered the toolpath generation or toolpath strategy. What is the influence or effect of toolpath strategy and overall machining performance, and surface inspection. So my today's talk will be mainly focusing on experimental investigation, toolpath generation, and surface inspection on preform surface milling process. Except that other two parameters or other two domains like analytical study and surface digitization, these parts you could find all the related literature in our respective publication. So based on whatever literature I have seen, so this is what I can see the significant or major outcome or major observation out of our literature review based on extensive review which we have carried out. We can say like these many parameters are important, like 1, 2, 3, 4. All these parameters are quite important in freeform surface machining process. So these all parameters combiningly decide the overall quality or overall the outcomes of the freeform machining process. So again, I can say, if you could like you can start with any one of the branch, you can focus on one wing and you can explore, or you can try to optimize the overall quality or accuracy of freeform surface machining process. So again, in this machining parameters we have explored in our work, like what is the effect of feed rate, depth of cut, cutting speed, that we have checked. Again, to some extent we have seen this cutting phenomena, that is like how chip are forms, what are the cutting forces that we are going to get, what is the chip workpiece engagement, like how it is varying, and what how it affects the overall output quality or responses. So that we have seen to some extent. The surface parameters also we explored to some extent, like we have seen like the consequences of shape complexity. We have seen what are the roughness values which we have obtained, or what is the textures, that textures also we have observed, and tool wear we have included in our study. So to some extent, many of these parameters which I have shown in this particular figure, we have included in our study. Rest parameters, again, they are free. You can like think of those parameters and you can start your work. Interestingly, all whatever 170 papers we have reviewed, in that like maximum work or 54% of literature, they are based on aluminum alloys. Okay, so in freeform surface, these aluminum alloys are extensively used. These can be found in automotive components or aerospace components. These are typical structural components. So in my case also, I have worked on aluminum 7075, and except that, like we can also get ample literature on steel alloys. So there are very few literature available in other materials, like difficult to cut materials like Inconel or titanium. We could find very less literature on this. So you can think on reverse way also, like very less literature is available in this field. So freeform surface of these materials, like freeform surface milling or freeform surface machining of difficult to cut materials or heat resistance material, you can like think of this particular domain. So this is quite new, and this is very very less attempted by the research community. So these are our main observations based on the literature review, and based on all these observations we have finalized our scope to start with. Okay, so as I have said, like these all results, just brief introduction I have given, but all the details, like what are the analytical studies, which are like whatever models, algorithms that are proposed by the several scholars, and experimental and toolpath generation. So all these 5 domains I have extensively reviewed, and that is covered in this particular article. So this is on available online. This year only we got published this in Journal of Manufacturing Processes. So for any further details, or to get into details of all the domains, you can refer to this article. So once we end up with the literature, we finalize or we fix our objectives, and in that, as I have already mentioned, like first objective we fixed regarding the experimental investigations into the freeform surface milling process. So for experimental investigations, I will just show you some of the experimental facilities that we have used so as to perform the experiment. So these are some of the basic devices, or these are the basic setup that is required to conduct the experiment. So you might be all aware of all these all these devices, all these, like this is the instruments we can say. So this is CNC machine of Smart Mill 500 from Asker Micron. So the accuracy of the machine is of range, say positioning accuracy of 5 micron and repeatability is 4 micron, and maximum spindle speed which the machine can attain is 10,000 rpm. So this is like CNC CNC VMC, vertical machining center, on which I have conducted all the freeform machining experiments. After that, the main parameters which I have considered for my study are cutting force, then surface roughness and tool wear. So in this case, the tool wear, the tool force dynamometer used from Kistler. So this dynamometer is having capacity of maximum 10 kilonewton. It is having range of 5 kilonewton in X and Y, and in Z it is having capacity of 10 kilonewton. So the sensitivity is 2.5 millivolt per newton. So this is the dynamometer, the piezoelectric dynamometer basically we have used. Then this is surface roughness tester. So this is Mitutoyo surface roughness tester, and the as I mentioned here, the model is Surftest SJ4410. Okay, so in regarding the surface roughness, 4 different roughness indexes like RA, RV, RP and RZ we have used in our analysis. And tool wear microscope, it is USB microscope. This is Microlinks USB microscope. The model of the microscope is UM05. Okay, so all the results and all these things I have mentioned in subsequent slides. Okay, so in experimental investigation, the objective of our study to first investigate the effect of or influence of toolpath strategies on cutting, toolpath strategies and cutting parameters on different responses, milling responses. So these responses are cutting forces, tool wear and surface quality or surface roughness in finished aluminum 7075. So like in experimental investigation, we can consider this the objective in 2 parts. Like first part is to investigate or to analyze the influence of toolpath strategy, and second part is to consider or to understand the effect of cutting parameters. So these parameters are the major milling parameters like speed, feed and depth of cut on cutting forces, tool wear and surface quality. But be aware that here we are not conducting the flattened milling experiments, or these are not usual flat milling experiment. This is freeform surface machining. So except all these main input parameters, some other parameters we have investigated, so that we have to consider, like how it is different here to to investigate this freeform surface milling. Main objective is to understand how the freeform surface mechanics or mechanism involved in freeform surface milling, how it is different than that of flattened milling. So that is the main thing which I want to discuss in today's session. Okay, so as I said, like first thing, to investigate tool path strategy. Okay, and then in next part we have investigated or we have analyzed the effect of cutting parameters, like basically speed, feed, depth of cut and depth of cut on cutting forces, tool wear and surface quality. So like these are the main like 4 steps we can say involved in inducing the or to get the freeform surface using milling process. Okay, so freeform surface milling process, it involves total 4 steps. So here we have part geometry. Okay, we designed it on AutoCAD, or we can like drawing is there, so we can directly model this part in model this part in PTC Creo parametric. Okay, once we model this, okay, then we generate the toolpath strategy. Now to generate the toolpath strategy, we have used Power Mill software. Okay, so Delcam Power Mill used to generate the tool path to induce the finishing strategy. So that I will cover in next slides. Before that, this is the experimental setup. In experimental setup, as I have showed, this just discussed, like this is the force transducer over which we have fixed the metal block using the fixture plate, and like once we done with the experimental setup, we started the experimentation. So to generate a freeform surface, so this kind of surface directly we cannot generate in one pass. Okay, so initially we have to take the metal block and we go for roughing operation. So roughing operation, we can also call it as semi finishing operation. Okay, so semi finishing operation is typically performed using flattened mill. Okay, whatever our regular flattened mill is there, using that we performed the roughing operation or semi finishing operation. So in semi finishing operation, near a net shape part is manufactured. So it is like this is the final part surface. So just near to this final shape, you can see here the feed marks are there, or the machining serrations are there. So this is after roughing operation, we induced or we got the semi finished part wherein the feed marks or machining serrations are there. So it is near shape component or near shape surface we have produced. This is with flattened mill. And after roughing operation, we went for the finishing cut. So this is single cut wherein we get the final finished surface. So this final finished surface, we got it, we induced it with the ball and cutter. Okay, so two cutters we have used here. Okay, so these are the cutters actually. So I have shown in the figure, like for roughing operation, our regular like usual flattened cutter with 12 mm diameter we have used, and for finishing I have used the ball and cutter. Okay, so flattened cutter, so roughly the cutting length of both the cutter is 25 mm, and the helix angle of both the cutters are 30 degree. This is Vidya make cutter, and these are uncoated carbide cutters. Okay, so these both uncoated. So the material to be machined is aluminum 7075. So corresponding tools we have selected. So uncoated carbide tools we have selected, having 4 flutes. Okay, so these cutters having 4 flutes, and the respective diameters are 12 mm and 10. So the flattened cutter is having diameter of 12 mm, and ball and milling, this is the ball and milling which is used for finishing, is having diameter of 10 mm. Okay, so this typical metal block of size 80 by 30 by 25 mm, okay, that is used. And using like these 4 steps, we have induced or we have produced the finished surface which is expected. Okay, so as I have said, in first part, like in experimental investigation, firstly we have analyzed the toolpath strategy. So as to investigate the toolpath strategy, here other cutting parameters we have kept constant. What I mean, like for roughing operation or say for finishing operation, whatever speed, feed, depth of cut we have used, they are constant because they are fixed, and only we have varied the toolpath strategy. Now various toolpath strategies are used, like here, like along the length of the part surface, like linear strategy, perpendicular to length of the part surface, like we have linear 90 strategy, and here like combination of these two, like along the length, then it will go like this. Again we have along the length like a return stroke, and again it will come like this, again it will start. So like concentric cuts are there, and combination of linear and linear 90. So what we say this as 3D offset strategy. So there are so many other, like several strategy that are mentioned in the literature, like radial strategy is there, concentric strategy is there, linear 90, 3D offset. So many strategies are there. So out of that, like these are the 3 strategies which we could find in many of the literature. These are in common, which they propose as the best finishing strategies. Okay, means some of the literature they quoted linear strategy as the best strategy. In some literature, like linear 90 is good, and in some we found 3D offset strategy. So as to start with our investigation, we feel it necessary that we will investigate it separately, like linear 90 and 3D offset we performed at our own with keeping these cutting parameters constant, and seen like what is the, like which strategy is comes out to be best in our case. Okay, so that we could again analyze other parameters. Okay, so these 3 strategies we have analyzed, Okay, and the results of these strategies I will discuss now. Okay, so before I start with the results, like what is the results of these strategies, or what are the cutting parameters which I have used, and that before that, one interesting like thing I want to discuss, like how this freeform surface milling, like here. Now these are the strategy. Again, I will repeat, these are the strategy that we have used for finishing operation. Okay, for roughing operation, again, for all the component, all three components, roughing strategy is same, that is default strategy we have used. Okay, only for finishing, like three different tool paths were generated. Okay, so one finishing we done with this one part, second part with this, and third part with this, and then we have analyzed like which surface it comes out to be like with better finish, lesser tool wear, and like subsequently better surface quality is obtained. So that we have seen. So before that, like how this freeform surface machining is different than that of flattened milling, that I want to discuss before I actually show you the results. So here one can see. Okay, so if you can see, so as to understand the cutting mechanics involved in freeform surface milling properly, so I have shown like this is with scale I have drawn it in AutoCAD, and here I have shown like the cutting mechanics at point P1 and P2 we can analyze here. Okay, so as this is a curved surface, the point of contact, tool and workpiece point of contact is changing throughout the surface. So at point P1 we can say the tool tip is in contact, tool head is in contact. So here the theta, what is theta? The tool inclination. So it is we can say the axis of the tool and surface normal, the angle between axis of the tool and surface normal. Okay, this is surface normal. So here, like if you draw a tangent to a surface and if you consider the normal, so that is axis and surface normal are matching. Okay, so in this case theta is 0. So at point P1 the tool head or tool tip is in contact. Unlike that, like unlike point P1, if we consider point P2, here it is at this particular point the tool and workpiece are in contact. Okay, so if we consider, if we keenly observe, the point of contact is going to change. Okay, this point of contact is changing due to this change in lead angle or change in tool inclination. Okay, so as to understand this mechanics clearly, I have shown the point P1 and P2 in magnified views. So here if you could see, the point of contact starts at 0, okay, at tool tip. Okay, and point of contact is till this particular point. Okay, so point of contact is starting at 0 tool tip, and it is contacted till till radius r1. Okay, so here you can see the tool radius is actually like 10 mm. In our case, ball and mill is of radius 10 mm, but entire 10 mm is not in contact as usually we could see in flattened milling. Okay, in flattened milling, if you are doing the slotting operation, so entire tool diameter or tool radius is in engagement. Okay, entire tool like 12 mm tool is in contact, but here though it is 10 mm tool, okay, only a portion of tool is in contact, a particular surface area is in contact. So here tool contact start at 0 and it is till r1 tool is in contact. Okay, so similar corresponding front view I have shown here. So the effective radius is ranging from 0 to r1. Similarly at point P2, now here the tool tip is not in contact, so here the contact is not starting here. Instead, the point is starting at A1 and it is engraving the total surface area as A1, B1, C1. So you could see the difference in the tool surface contact area, that is A, B, C and A1, B1, C1 at point P1 and P2. Okay, so what we can say, the effective radius now instead of 0 to r1, the effective radius starts at r2 and it is ending at r3. Okay, even it is lesser than this r, that actual tool radius. Okay, so effective radius varying from r2 to r3 at point P2, and effective radius varies from r1 to like 0 to r1. Okay, engraving the area or covering the area ABC at point P1, covering area A1, B1, C1 at point P2. Okay, so this change in cutter contact point. So if we change the cutter contact point, effective radius will change, as I said, R2 to R3, 0 to R1. So effective radius change. If effective radius changes, this effective surface area or active surface area, the surface area in contact of tool and workpiece, so that will change. Okay, so this ultimately these three things, like tool surface contact point, corresponding instantaneous cutting radius, active cutting speed, and effective surface area. So these three things, actually we can say effective radius, corresponding surface area, and another thing, like I forgot, like if the tool is contacting at this particular tool tip, the effective speed will be 0. Okay, whatever programmed speed which we have given, so suppose we have given 1000 rpm, so 1000 rpm, that is for tool diameter 10, for 10 mm it is 1000 rpm. As we go on reducing the diameter, the tool the active or effective speed will be decreasing. Okay, so theoretically speaking, at tool tip or tool head, the effective speed is 0, and it will go on increasing at tool radius equal to, like tool diameter equal to 10 mm, that is actual tool diameter, the speed is equal to program speed, like it will be 1000. As we go on reducing the tool diameter or tool radius, the effective speed will decrease, and tool tip it will be 0. Okay, so this change in effective radius, change in effective like active contact area, and effective speed, so that ultimately governs the surface quality, that will govern the tool wear and cutting forces in freeform surface milling. So this is like important thing which I want to uh, discuss. Like besides all other parameters, as we usually discuss in case of flattened milling, like cutting speed, feed, depth of cut, coolant which we have used, or whatever tool nomenclature. Okay, besides that, the mechanism involved in freeform surface milling is quite complicated, because the depth of cut is not constant. Okay, it is changing as the point of contact is changing, the effective radius changing, so active surface or contact surface area is changing, and accordingly cutting speed will also vary. So this variation will lead to change in cutting forces. So as we go on cutting this particular surface, the forces will vary, the forces will be different at each point. Okay, so we have to consider momentary forces, instantaneous force we have to consider. Similarly, the roughness which we will get, it will be different. So in this region, surface roughness will be different, in this region surface roughness will be different, and in this region roughness will be different. Why it is so? Because the contact is changing, the radius is changing, cutting speed also changing, and surface area in contact is also changing. So this change, instantaneous change in all these parameters, makes this process complicated to understand and analyze. Okay, so okay, in addition to that, one thing like I would uh, bring forward, like uh, here, so if we consider this point P1 wherein the tool tip is in contact with the surface, so um, typically metal cutting occurs due to shearing action. Okay, so shearing action is expected to happen, but as tool tip is in contact, like typically this is for our material like aluminum 7075. Okay, so in our case, along with shearing, when tool tip is in contact, we seen the ploughing is occurring. So ploughing accounts for the rubbing action or friction. So why it is so? Because the effective speed is almost 0. As effective speed is 0, so tool is theoretically or ideally rubbing to the surface, and as tool rubbing to the surface, um, along with shearing, there is an amount of ploughing at the tool and workpiece interface. So this ploughing deteriorates the surface quality. So this is what our observation, like in case of aluminum 7075, our material. Okay, when like tool tip or tool head is in contact, so along with shearing, ploughing, like like plowing is about to start, or the some amount of plowing is happening, that rubbing and friction, which deteriorates the overall surface quality. Why I'm saying, why I'm tracing like in our case, because in literature I have seen for difficult to cut materials, like if we consider the tool steel, or say Inconel, or we can say like hard material like tool steel, or difficult to cut material like Inconel or titanium, some scholars they have quoted that the tool head is in contact is beneficial. Okay, that improves the surface. Now in his case, the main reason behind that is when tool tip or tool head is in contact, it gives the stability to cutting. Stability means there are less vibrations. So due to less vibrations, as it is a hard material, so less vibrations are there, and it could cut it properly and gives the better surface finish. So that's why I have made it clear in our case, like the material which we have used is softer material, comparatively softer material, like aluminum 7075, which is typically a zinc and magnesium based alloy. So in that case, our observation is that the tool tip should not be in contact, and typically this periphery of the ball and mill should be in contact, so as to improve the surface quality. So main intention of this is to make you aware like how the flattened milling and freeform surface milling are different. Okay, so like after this, like again, I'll come back to what we have started with. Now we want to check the, or we have to assess, we have to analyze the effect of toolpath strategy. So these three toolpath strategy we have to investigate, keeping all of the parameters constant. Okay, so this is what like simulation we have done. So as I already informed, like toolpath strategies, like we have investigated this toolpath strategy. Like we have simulated this using Delcam power mill and 3 machining responses. Now here in case of toolpath strategy, cutting forces we have not captured. Okay, in next section, next phase of work we have done this, but for toolpath strategy only 2 parameters like surface roughness and tool wear we have measured, and we have analyzed these 2 parameters. Okay, so this is linear strategy, linear 90 and 3D offset. Like already I have mentioned, like you could see the tool path, how it is moving, like along the longitudinal direction perpendicular to that, and this combination of the like longitudinal plus perpendicular, like both combination of first and second, like linear 90. Okay, so these are the parameters, as I already said, like so as to investigate exclusively the toolpath strategy. Here other parameters like speed, feed, depth of cut, all are kept constant. Okay, and then we have analyzed 2 things like tool wear we have measured, and surface roughness. Okay, so as I already mentioned, surface roughness, four indexes of surface roughness, RA, RZ, RV, RP are measured. Okay, and in tool wear, like we measured with that USB microscope. So this is a typical figure like how we have measured it. Okay, so like we took the image and we have used here the image software. Okay, so image software typically it gives directly area. Okay, once we calibrate that software with some length, okay, with known length, so once we give that known length to that software, so directly the unknown whatever surface area we want to get, that we can measure. So image software is used, and here we measured the tool wear area. So if you could see, like it is square, so it is actually tool wear area. Okay, and then we convert it to tool wear length. So by dividing the tool wear area by cutting length, total cutting length, okay, so we convert it to tool wear length. Okay, why to convert this, like I will discuss this in subsequent slide. Okay, so so as to avoid confusion, okay, once again I will show you here. You could see like here just now, as I have mentioned, here surface roughness will be different at this region, at this region, at this region. So fragmentation, like classifying entire surface into different parts. So the fragmentation approach is used. So in fragmentation we typically classify, or we divide the surface into different regions so that we can analyze the data properly. So this entire surface we divided into 3 regions. Region 1, so roughness obtained on this region. roughness obtained on this region and roughness. So 3 different roughness values we have captured or we have measured for one surface. Okay, and obviously it will be different roughness. Okay, as I have explained just now, like mechanism of ball end milling. So as the effective radius, speed and active surface area are different roughness we are going to get on each region, on each like divided part. Okay, so like that, this table you can now understand. Like here, region 1, region 2, region 3. So on one surface 3 regions we have formed. Okay, so to avoid the confusion, like any one region you can consider. On first region, linear with linear strategy, what are the roughness values we got? On same region, linear 90, say what are the values we got for roughness and 3D offset. Okay, so 3 different parts. On each part, region 1 pay with these 3 strategy, what are the roughness we have captured. Like similarly for region 2, region 3. So just to avoid this, region 1 you can focus on. Okay, now to analyze this data, we have used Khatri-Naik equation or Khatri-Naik plots. So what are these like Khatri-Naik equations or these Khatri-Naik plots? So so these Khatri-Naik plots are okay, so these are just a method to analyze multivariate data. Okay, what is multivariate? The data involving multiple variables. Okay, so the multiple variables should be in same units. So just now, as I have mentioned, the tool wear we have converted into tool wear length. So the requirement is to the roughness values are in micron. So we want the wear should be in micron because this is the requirement of Khatri-Naik equation. All the variables to analyze that response variables properly, all variables should be in same unit. Okay, so tool wear area is converted into tool wear length, and then this multivariate data we have processed using Khatri-Naik equation. Okay, so like we use this equation and then we plotted it, that is Khatri-Naik plots. Okay, so this is like basically this equation, what it is modified version of Andrew plots. So this equation gives the combined effect or the influence of all the influence of different parameters are intermixed, okay, using sine and cosine functions, so as to give the combined representation or combined output of all the variables. Okay, so what is the effect of individual roughness on what is the effect of individual, say cutting speed on roughness? We could see effect of particular cutting speed on say tool wear we can see. But if you want to get a combined picture, so if you consider all responses like roughness, RA, RZ, RP, RV and tool wear, so combiningly considering all the parameters, which like which particular surface or which strategy is comes out to be best, so as to analyze that, so we have used this function. So here now if you say, see, this is like basic function in y1, y2, y3, y4. So we have mixed this y1, y2 with sine and cosine function. So what it does, same this y1, y2, these parameters are taken and they are presented in terms of 1D curve. Okay, like mixing it with sine and cosine function. So this y1, y2 are nothing but our output responses or milling responses. In our case, wear length is the milling response, RA, RZ, RV, RP, R, all are the milling responses. So we replace this y1, y2, y3, y4 of Khatri-Naik equation with our milling responses, like which we have considered, that are RA, RZ, RV, RP. And if we mix this response parameters with sine and cosine, so we are doing nothing here. Response parameters are as it is, but instead of single parameter, means based on only RA we can say like this strategy is good, or based on only RZ we can say this strategy is good. But if you want to get the integrated picture, like combined outcome, combining all the like influence of all the parameters in a single picture, if you want to get that, so here we have used this Khatri-Naik equation. So this is what we will get. Okay, so if we see this particular equation, so as we have intermixed these variables with sine and cosine, this is converted into 1D curve. Okay, and this is a combined picture of all the responses. So here we will get this type of curves. Okay, so now each curve representing combined effect of RA, RZ, RP, RV and tool wear. And so we can say, like, as typically we have multi-objective optimization problem, so it is similar to that. So it is multi-objective optimization, we can say, using this visual representation. So visual representation, typically, like earlier we used to represent with pie chart, or we can say bar chart, or different type of chart or graphs. So instead of that, but those graphs are like for individual parameter. If you want to get the combined integrated view or integrated outcome, in that case Khatri-Naik plots are well suited. But only thing is, all the parameters should be in similar unit or same unit actually. So here in our case it is in micron. Okay, so like as I have shown you all these responses, okay, for region 1 or region 2, say for region 2 I will explain. So region 2 linear के लिए these are the reference parameter, linear 90, these are the parameters. Okay, so linear के लिए whatever parameters which we have obtained, okay, these parameters, these 4 values plus linear के लिए whatever tool wear which we have obtained, so those we have fed here. Okay, linear के लिए अगर हम fed करेंगे, in that case region 2 के लिए with linear strategy, so we will get this single curve. Okay, similarly linear 90 के लिए, linear like 3 offset के लिए we have got these curves. Okay, now here thumb rule to analyze this is like the curve whichever closer to horizontal axis, that represents best combination. The curve which is nearer to horizontal axis gives the best combination. So applying this thumb rule, we can say, like for region 1 and region 2, 3D offset comes out to be best, and if not best, but at least for region 3 it is like second best. Okay, so if we consider all three, like region 1, 2, 3 results, okay, now here we are analyzing, these are the results for toolpath strategy. All other parameters are constant, as I have already told you. So here only strategies are varied, linear 90 and 3D offset, and for this we have analyzed combined response. Okay, and in this case, like if you consider like 1, 2, 3, all three regions, so we can say this red line like representing 3D offset, that comes out to be best. So here out of 3 strategies, linear 3D offset is comes out to be best finishing strategy, like wherein all the combined effect of all the responses is better or good compared to all like other 2 strategies. Okay, so why we did that, like we in literature, so many strategies they quoted to be best. Okay, some literature they are saying linear is good, some literature linear 90, 3D offset. So these are common 3 strategies which we found, like the scholars are quoting as a best finishing strategy. So we analyzed at our own and we found that 3D, in our case at least, 3D offset strategy comes out to be best. Now once we know the 3D offset strategy, now second part of our study, like second part of the first objective, like experimental investigation, wherein now we consider the cutting forces, like how feed force and cutting forces are varying with respect to our like regular or usual cutting parameters like speed, feed and depth of cut. Now we use Taguchi L9 experiments or Taguchi design of experiment approach, wherein we have formed 9 experimental run, and based on 9 experimental runs we have investigated like effect of speed, feed, depth of cut on cutting force and tool wear. Along with cutting force, tool wear, we have also considered for all 9 combinations, we have also taken the surface roughness into account. Okay, so this cutting forces, so based on this L9, if you plot a main effect plot, this is like these are for freeform surface machining. Okay, so here like these are again common observations we could see, like in case of cutting and feed force, like these two, like A and B, like forces are decreasing with speed and forces are increasing with feed and depth of cut. So increase with feed and depth of cut, it is obvious, like as more material is fed against the tool or quantum of material is increasing with feed and depth of cut, so obviously forces will be increasing. Okay, but here it is decreasing with speed. Again we can say that theoretically speaking, the cutting force is independent of speed, but the probable reason why the forces are decreasing with speed, like as we go on increasing the speed, there will be thermal softening happening, which is happening at the tool workpiece interface. So this thermal softening aids the material removal, due to which, or that enhances the material removal or machinability, which causes the forces to decrease. Okay, so with increasing speed, thermal softening happens at the interface. Due to thermal softening, the material get removed easily, comparatively in easier way, so that cutting forces are decreasing. Now if you consider the tool forces, the tool wear, so in case of tool wear, here now cutting speed, if you increase, it is like, we can say, negligible influence with cutting speed. No much variation we could find in cutting in tool wear. But as feed increases, tool wear decreasing. Okay, and as depth of cut increases, tool wear is increasing. Okay, so again, we will apply the same logic as we have applied for forces. Like here, if depth of cut is increasing, more metal is fed against the tool, so forces are increasing, so more force is going to be is exerted, the more forces are exerted, so the tool wear is increasing. Now with respect to feed, like even though we are increasing feed, why the tool wear is decreasing, that I will explain in subsequent slide, wherein I have analyzed the forces in detail. Okay, these are the surface roughness values. Again, like for region 1, for all 9 all 9 experimental runs, or for all 9 samples, whatever the roughness RA, RZ, RV, RP we have obtained. So at region 1, region 2, region 3, for all 9 components, or all 9 experimental runs, the roughness which we have obtained, we have noted here. So now we have roughness values for all 9 combination. Now here I have given the wear. Okay, so wear and roughness, if we know, they are in identical units, so same these Katrina equations are used. And again, if you consider, okay, now what we are analyzing, like there we have seen strategy, a tool path strategy, based on surface roughness and tool wear, which strategy is good, that we have analyzed in first part. Now here what we are seeing, so based on surface roughness and tool wear, which combination, which input combinations are comes out to be best, like speed, feed, depth of cut के हिसाब से, if you consider the responses as surface roughness, tool wear, so which speed, feed, depth of cut are good, or giving the best result. So if you consider this, so here I have given dotted lines, whichever closer to horizontal, that I have given with dotted lines, and different colors I have used, so for for the easy identification. So you could see that this L1, L4, L7, region 1, in region 2, L1, L4, L7 same again, and region 3, L1, L4 are common, like for all 3 regions. Here like L5 is there, so these 3 are closer to horizontal axis. So these 3 combinations represents, or these 3 combinations, what it means, for these combinations, the result or the outcome which we have obtained is best. What it means, so for these 3 combinations we have obtained minimum roughness and minimum tool wear. Okay, so if you consider all 3 in common, L4, the experimental run L4 comes out to be best. Okay, considering tool wear and surface roughness. Okay, so experimental run 4, if you consider all 3 regions, so 4 is in common. Okay, so this L4, okay, so here actually experimental run 4 and 1 both are there, but combining, if you consider, then L4 comes out to be best parametric combination. With this particular parametric combination, we could get minimum roughness and minimum tool wear. Okay, now in addition to that, like one interesting observation, or one interesting like thing which we have observed in our study, like now here L4 comes out to be best, like in terms of tool wear and surface roughness. So this is the force profile which we have obtained for L4, and if you keenly observe all 3 regions, so this red line is at the extreme end. Okay, it is away from the horizontal, so it comes out to be poor parametric combination if you consider the tool wear and roughness values which we have obtained. Okay, so for L9, if we see the force profile, and L4, if we see the force profile, okay, so by and large the overall force profile is same. Okay, so here, like, one thing, first of all, like, as initially I have discussed, like, when I've shown this cutting mechanism, change in effective radius, effective speed, and effective surface area, there I have mentioned that due to change in all these like instantaneous parameters, the cutting force is not constant. Okay, in flattened milling, the cutting force is typically constant, whatever whatever magnitude we used to get. If it is, say, 70 Newton, it will be 70 throughout. But here, due to change in these instantaneous parameters, this is continuously changing, which makes it difficult to analyze. Okay, but by and large, if you see, for 4 and 9, the force profiles are similar. But if you minutely observe both the force profiles, here force profile which we have seen is like this, and here for L9 the force profile is like this. Like, for very minute, like for fraction of second, if we could see this is the force profile which we could see. So here we can see, like, for experiment number 4. Okay, now experiment number 4, there is a small idle time delta t is present for experiment number 4. What it means, in between two consecutive cuts there is some idle time that is available there. Okay, but in case of L9, here the idle time is 0. Okay, theoretically speaking, delta t, the idle time is 0. Okay, so if we see it in reverse way, okay, so this is what the interesting fact we could see. Like, in tool wear, here L4, which is having minimum feed, so idle time is there because the feed is minimum, and L9 feed is maximum. So as feed is maximum, no idle time is there. But due to this, what happens, so due to this idle time, it is analogous to interrupted cutting. Okay, it is not a continuous cutting as in case of turning, or we can say single point cutting operation is there. So in single point we have continuous cutting operation. Okay, no interruption. So as a continuously tool and workpiece are in contact, so due to that, smooth cutting happens and it reduces the tool wear. Okay, but opposite to that, unlike continuous cutting in L4, as tool feed is lower, there in we could find that delta t, some time lag is present in between two cuts. So this time lag make it interrupted cutting. So due to this, tool wear is increasing. Okay, here we could see tool wear is increasing, and L9, as feed is maximum, so it provokes the continuous cutting as in case of single point cutting or turning. So that's why tool wear is decreasing. Okay, now again, don't confuse with the tool wear values and like what we have obtained as a best with Khatri Naik. Why? Because like tool wear wise, L4 is uh, poor than that of tool L9. But if here we are looking, we are analyzing combined effect. So tool wear and this roughness values we have combiningly representing in this. So the tool wear is more for experiment 4 compared to 9. But if you consider tool wear along with roughness parameters, 4 comes out to be best. So that's what we have said. It gives the integrated combined representation of all the responses. Okay, so here what I am saying,
always.
hello, yes,
I was asking, is it necessary to take the graph always?
take the, hello, I couldn't get, hello.
What is the question, please?
Is it mandatory to always take the graph notation?
Graph notation, pardon. Hello. Hello.
You can continue, Rahul. Let him ask at the end. And the fan.
Okay. 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 So just now, as we have discussed, like here tool, like for experiment 4, feed is lesser, so it provokes the interrupted cutting. What we can see here, that delta t, some small time lag is there in between two consecutive cutting, and here time lag is not there. At the same time, like though tool wear is lesser for 9 as compared to 4, but roughness what we have obtained, so in terms of roughness 4 is better. Now why it is happening? So the probable reason is that here, though time lag is there, but the force profile, what we have observed, it is uniform force profile. Compared to that, if you consider, this is less uniform. Okay, we have two different peaks here. So due to these two different peaks or less uniformity of the force profile, the vibrations are going to induce, and these vibrations deteriorate the overall surface quality. So when we consider combined effect of all these, so here we can see that experiment 4 comes out to be better in terms of roughness and tool wear. And the second thing which I have highlighted here, that time lag like along with magnitude of force, time lag delta t between these two consecutive cuts, or the nature of force variation, okay, whether it is uniform variation or a what we can say less uniform variation, it also determines the overall surface quality, or it determines the tool wear. Okay, so these are some of the conclusions that already I have discussed. Okay, so in first part, like 3D offset comes out to be best. In second part, we have seen the experiment run 4 with 3000 speed, 0.05 feed and 0.4 millimeter axial depth, which we found it as good. And except other like usual regular flat milling parameters like cutting speed, feed, depth of cut, coolant, tool nomenclature, other parameters like active cutting force, effective tool radius, instantaneous contact surface area, these are significant in freeform surface milling. Again, along with magnitude of the force, time lag between two consecutive cuts, or we can say nature of force variation, are equally significant for determining the tool wear and far surface quality. And here we have seen like how Khatri-Naik plots or Khatri-Naik's multivariate data analysis approach can be well suited for the our like experimental investigations in milling, or like in general we can use it for machining operations. Okay, so based on all these experimental things we have obtained this. So if you missed something of if you want some more clarifications, you can go through this publication. Okay, now after that we started with second objectives. Okay, I will like make it fast. Okay, in this actually once we induce, or once we produce all 9 samples, okay, once we finish off with the experiments, and in experiments we have obtained these finished components, the freeform finished parts we have obtained, okay, through experiments. Now these components, as I already told, these are freeform components. So as to ensure its functionality, this component should conform to some standards. This component should be as per some given standards. So as to ensure its quality of the surface, we analyze the surfaces using an articulated CMM and 3D scanner. And the characteristic of both these measurement, or the accuracy of both the measurements, precision of both the measurement devices, we have statistically analyzed. So once we got the all 9 samples, okay, then all 9 samples were inspected using articulated CMM, this is CMM, and then 3D scanner. So this is single setup. Okay, this is single setup including CMM and 3D scanner. Okay, this is Faro from company Faro, and the model which we used is Quantum S. Okay. And we measured surface error or form deviations. Okay, so in terms of we considered the accuracy in terms of form deviations. So this is the typical methodology used for surface inspection. Okay, part geometry, then we have to select measurement points, then inspection path planning, part registration, localization. So all this methodology I will explain in subsequent slides. So okay, once we ready with the all 9 samples, first part is to, like, before inspection we have to prepare that sample. So preparation means we have to clean it with acetone and then with cotton, and then we have to take adequate sampling points. Now what exactly it mean by adequate So adequate sampling point we have to collect considering the trade-off between sampling speed and accuracy. If you go for so many points, it will obviously hamper the sampling speed, and if you go for say less sampling points, then it will hamper the accuracy. So we have to make the trade-off between these two so as to accurately decide upon what are the number of adequate number of points. So this is the thumb rule which I have used. So if we consider like here in our case the parts, okay, so see, this is the part. So this has 3 abrupt radius. Okay, so we can consider this as 1 radius, this has 2, and this is 3 radius. So roughly I am telling. So if you consider 3 radius, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 control points on this curve. Similarly, like it has like width. So width wise, if you consider on this end also, there will be 4 control points. So 4 and 4, 8 control points will be there. So using this thumb rule, like if the part surface consists of 8 control points, so n, so in u direction there are n points, in v direction there are n points, so total if we have n control points, so we have to take say n into 10 measurement points on a surface. So accordingly, as I have just shown you, the control points, we have 8 control points, so 80 sampling points we have collected on one surface using probe of 3 mm diameter using on CMM. Similarly, for laser, actually it is continuous scanning, so it is 100% sampling. So just we need to give the spacing grid for during laser scanning. So here we have selected 0.3 mm grid spacing, and with the standard distance of 120 approximately we have scanned the surface. Okay, so here random sampling approach we have used. So random sampling, it gives the equal probability of selecting each of the point, and it gives the authentic information about the chosen parameter. And more, okay, one thing that more points, okay, it should be point actually, more sampling points are considered along the longitudinal direction, because along the longitudinal direction there are more variation in the profile, or there are abrupt radius involved along the longitudinal direction. So we have taken more sampling points should be taken where the abrupt variation or more variation in the profile is there. Okay, these are some of the thumb rules. Okay, the part inspection process. So this is the part, then we generated the part. Now we prepared a sample, we collected the points. Once we collected the points, now this entire thing we have done with the Power Inspect software. Like we collected the points and we give it to user interface of the Power Inspect software, and we have to select a proper algorithm. So here best fit model available in Power Inspect we have used. So once we collect say 80 points, so based on 80 points, like we have generate freeform surface. Once we generate the freeform surface, we have to fit it on the part model. Once we fit, then we go for the comparison and error evaluation. So this is typical steps involved in freeform surface inspection process. So this is the results, like with scanner. These are the values which we obtain. This is form error values, and this is with CMM. Okay, so once we got these inspection data, now what the main objective is to analyze the inspected data so as to compare the accuracy and precision. Okay, so here accuracy we could get just by looking at the peak to valley distance, or just by looking at the average deviation. So all whatever, say we have collected 35 points on each. Okay, with CMM we have collected 35 points, and with 3D scanner we have collected 30 points. So 35 readings we have taken basically, okay, on one surface. So based on that 35 readings, we have taken average of all 35 deviations, and based on average deviation for first sample, second, so for all 9 samples, average deviations with CMM, average deviation with 3D scanner, so that we have measured. So average deviation or peak to valley distance, so minimum deviation and maximum deviation, so this gives peak to valley distance, so that I have not shown here. So peak to valley distance and average deviation, these two parameters, these two statistical parameters are used to express or to represent the accuracy of the measurement. Okay, so if you see, like here CMM based measurements, the average deviations comes out to be lesser in all 9 samples compared to 3D scanner. Okay, and except the accuracy, again if you want to get the precision, okay, how the points are distributed, there we have the standard deviation of the data. This is the formula for that, and the same after standard deviation, to give the visual representation that how data is distributed about the mean line, we have plotted the normal distribution curves, or we can say bell-shaped curves. These are plotted for all form error, whatever 35 form errors are there. So we have plotted the ND curves. So based on ND curve, we could get like how the data points or the measurement points are distributed for CMM data and 3D scanner. So we can see the CMM data is more uniformly distributed. It is more more uniform about the mean line as compared to 3D scanner. In 3D scanner, the distribution is like the range is more. Okay, so the uniformity of distribution with CMM is more. So what we can say, as we have seen in peak to valley or average deviation, the accuracy of CMM measurement is more. At the same time, if we see the distribution of the data, okay, we can also express it in terms of error bar. Okay, another term for that is error bar. So if you see the error bar or ND curve, there we can see the distribution is more uniform. It highlights the, or it evidences the precision of CMM measurement over the 3D scanner measurement. So these are some of the conclusion based on that the CMM based measurements or inspection what we have seen, they are more accurate and they are also precise because the data distribution is more uniform. As we could see from average deviation, standard deviation, normal distribution curves, the CMM are prone to measurement data loss. Now the reason for this, like what we understand, okay, these scanner are typically based on the optic or light principle of light. So the light source is used for transmission of data. That's why these data, these measurements are prone to data loss due to reflection, absorption, or transmission of the data. And due to that, it deteriorates the quality of inspection, overall quality of inspection. So that's why the accuracy or precision which we found is lesser what we pursue. And CMM based measurement, okay, but the main constraint of CMM is the accessibility problem. Okay, the probe accessibility has to be ensured before we start with the means very complicated complex object, okay, with intricate details or intricate holes. We cannot inspect with CMM. There we have to use the 3D scanners. Okay, or if you have hazardous environment, there we cannot use the CMM because it is contact type. Okay, or the parts or surfaces with deflection issues. Okay, means part is going to deflect if we touch that. Okay, so that kind of issues, if they are there, in that case we should go for 3D scanner. And as we have seen, like the entire surface is scanned. Okay, it is based on 100% sampling. That's why 3D scanners are found to be more, like they are faster than that of CMM inspection. So typically reverse engineering applications, these 3D scanners are extensively used compared to CMM. Okay, so before I end my talk, so I like this is being experimental investigation or experimental work is involved. So I alone cannot complete this. First of all, I thankful my guide, my PhD supervisor, Dr. TVK Gupta, for allowing me to express to give my talk in front of research community. And also I thankful to Dr. Andhare sir and Dr. VD Guge, which avail me the facilities to conduct the experiments, and Ganesh Todase, who is always there to while conducting the experiments. And I also thanks a few of my friends, Nikhil Thavri, Chaitanya, Aishwaresh, Nikhil, and my senior Dr. Nilesh Kumar Sahu for helping me or assisting me during the experiments. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Rahul. And the session is open for discussion. Any queries or any doubts, if you have, either you can write in the chat box or you can always ask on the meet.
Okay, sir. This is Anand Ronald, Mr. Rahul.
Yes, Anand sir, please ask.
Yes. Thank you for your nice presentation.
Thank you, sir.
I have a doubt. What is the significance of using 3-4 surface roughness parameters? Generally, RA is generally referred, right? You have
Correct,
additionally taken RV, RP, etc.
correct. Huh?
Do they play any role?
Actually, through literature, what we have seen, like along with RA, they have considered RV and RP. So here RZ basically, like RZ is nothing but RP plus RV. Okay, so in literature, what we have referred is like it enhances the quality of surface assessment, what they are saying, and this is typically more suited when we are when we are adapting a Khatri-Naik approach. Okay, in Khatri-Naik approach, we typically analyze the multivariate data in the same unit. Okay, so instead of only RA, if we could involve some more parameters, okay, in that case, it enhances the assessment, what I can say, like roughly.
Okay, okay.
So more means more information, more in addition to that average roughness, like this additional parameters give more, like they are more informative. Okay, if we compare to with single roughness or single in.
Okay. Okay. Then actually, and you have used contact type of surface finish measurement, and the
Correct.
surface is a free form surface. Any setup you use so that the surface is in proper alignment with the movement of the touch probe?
Yes. I used actually. Like we need to make it exact horizontal, like the surface which we want to measure, and the roughness tester, they should be aligned, like they should be on single.
So you align the workpiece such that it's approximately in line with the movement of the
So in that case, like
stylus.
you might have seen that we have this for on milling machine, we use this what is that for
Fixture.
no, like fixtures we use typically engraved fixtures are there, like we have
Indexing.
to indexing, for indexing purpose, like to adjust a specific height on the machine, we have this indexable, this
Yeah.
jaws
Okay.
are
So
there. You
okay.
might aware of that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
jaws we can use. Okay, so
Okay.
that jaws we can use, and like little bit flexibility is there with the tool tip, isn't it? Means
Okay.
that it is there in the tool catalog, like few say half millimeter or like lesser than half millimeter, that fluctuations that are there, means that can take the tool probe itself can take care of that much fluctuation. Okay, so to that extent, if you could manage the inclination with that what I said, that fixture. Okay, so with fixture, if you could adjust that much height, so it can properly measure the roughness. Okay, and these roughness are that no, perpendicular to feed direction. Okay, these all roughness are taken perpendicular
Yeah.
to feed direction, that's why it
Lay
is
pattern.
possible.
Yeah.
Along the length it is not possible. What you said, it is correct. Along the length we could not.
Yeah, perpendicular to the lay pattern. That's understood. Okay, thank you. Hello. And you are using laser scanner for scanning the surface along with your CMM. Lasers, and it's aluminum alloy, it's basically reflecting material, right? So is it correct to go for laser scanners to measure the surface or scan the surface? Hello? 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 Mr. Rahul? Mr. Rahul? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear, but is Mr. Rahul there?
No, he might have lost the connection. Just
Oh,
wait.
last
We'll
one.
wait.
Okay.
Rahul, can you hear us?
I think some network problem.
Yes,
or
sir.
something.
You're audible.
We'll wait. He might have lost the connection.
Yeah.
Rahul? Maybe he lost the connection, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. No. Rahul sir, you are not audible, I think. We cannot hear you. It's muted, I think.